Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little overview of the plot of Swan Lake now. And sometimes it is performed in different ways. Specifically, the ending is performed differently. Originally, it was a tragic ending. I'll explain why later on. But sometimes it's now performed as a happy ending. And also sometimes there is a prologue when Odette first meets Rothbart. And I'll explain who those are in a minute. But the play usually opens at a party. It's the Prince Seyfried's birthday party, and everyone's there. They're having a good time until his mother, the queen, calls him and expresses her worry about his carefree partying attitude. And she tells him that he needs to choose a bride at the royal ball the next day to fix his actions and get him in line. And so the prince is really sad about this, and the fact that he can't marry for love. So his friends are trying to cheer him up, one of his friends being Benno. And later that night, Benno sees a flock of swans flying above at this party. It is an outdoor party. And he suggests that they go hunting to lift the prince's mood. And so the group grabs their bows and they go for their hunt. And so this is the next act, and it starts with them at the forest by this lake. And so the princes get separated from their group, and he sees this group of swans by the land of the lake. And he aims his bows at one of them because they are there for hunting purposes. But before he shoots, he's surprised to see that one of the swans turns into a beautiful woman whose name is Odette. And she's scared of him at first because, he's going to kill her. But when he promises not to shoot her, she and the other swan woman explain this curse that they have. Basically, this curse was put on them by this evil owl-like sorcerer named Rothbard. And he casts a spell that makes them turn into swans by day, and by night, and only by night, by this enchanted lake, they can be women again. And the curse can only be broken if someone who has never loved before falls in love with Odette and swears to love her forever. So after Odette finishes explaining this curse to the prince, Rothbart actually appears, and the prince is ready to shoot him with his bow, but then Odette stops him to tell him that if Rothbart dies before the curse is broken, then it can never be undone, and she and the other swan maidens will be swans forever. So then Rothbart leaves, and the prince puts down his bow and sets out to winning over Odette's trust and falling in love throughout the rest of the night while she is still a woman. But as the day breaks, Odette and the other swan women turn back into swans. And then Act 3 is the next day, and it's actually the ball that the prince's mother set up to help him find a bride. So it's a costume ball, and there are 6 princesses presented to him, and they're all partying, whatever, just getting to know each other. But then Rothbart actually arrives in disguise with his actual daughter Odile, but she's disguised to look like Odette. And so since she looks like Odette, the prince chooses her and proclaims that he will marry this fake Odette. But just before he does that, Odette shows up at the window to try to warn the prince that it's not actually her, but he goes on to proclaim his love anyway. But right after he does that, Rothbard shows the prince a vision of the real Odette, and he realizes his mistake, so he runs quickly to the lake to try to find the real Odette. And then Act 4 begins with Odette very upset by the lake, obviously, because this was her only chance of trying to find love and the curse being broken. And the prince arrives, and he's apologizing profusely to Odette because he obviously wants to love the real Odette, not the fake one. And she ends up forgiving him, but since he already proclaimed that he was going to marry Odile, the curse can't be undone. And so Odette decides that she would rather die than be a swan forever, and the prince decides that he cannot live without Odette, so he chooses to die with her. And together they jump into a lake and die, and this causes Rothbard's curse to be undone, and the swan woman to become woman forever, and also causes Rothbard to die. And then the final scene of the show closes with the now women watching as Odette and the prince ascend into heaven together, forever united in love. And clearly this is the happy ending of this ballet, but I would assume the tragic one just ends with them dying.